In this presentation, we are going to see an overview of Assessment for Learning. From now on, we'll refer to Assessment for Learning as AFL. First, we'll present a quick distinction between what is called Assessment of Learning and Assessment for Learning. Then, we'll offer some reasons why is it important to add AFL to our classes. And finally, we will see how can we do that. Assessment of learning is a test made by the teacher, delivered at the end of a unit or the lesson to check the student's knowledge. This is usually the most common type of assessment that we will see in our classes. Assessment for learning is a multiple means of taking data to inform about the process of teaching and learning made by the pupils and the teacher as well. Why do we need AFL? We live in a world that is changing quickly, so quickly that we are preparing our students for a world we cannot even imagine. The only thing that we can do to help our students to face the new challenges we cannot even conceive is to provide them with the skills of self-regulation. We can see in this slide the skills that we are supposed to be teaching our students. Many of us are only moving in the lower levels, just expecting our students to understand and remember the knowledge transferred in the classroom. We need to make sure that our activities and lessons target higher order skills. But even when we do that, we're still one century behind. This new world is expecting our students to be able to put into play other type of skills. They need to be able to question, to adapt, to solve problems, to negotiate, plan, and communicate. AFL target those skills in the day-by-day reality of our classroom, as we will see. Also, research in education has shown that co-responsibility in the learning is one of the most powerful predictors for academic success. AFL will give us the tools to allow our students to gain a sense of ownership of their learning processes. In addition, AFL enriches the ways we can collect and analyze information to know if we are doing a good job, if our students are learning what they are supposed to be learning, and to guide our future steps. Once we have seen why we need to add AFL in our classes, let's look at how. In this table, you can see the characteristics of AFL. We'll look at each one of them and explore practical ways to make them happen in our classes. There are small steps, some easier than others, but they cause a huge impact in the relationships between the students and the teacher, the motivation and the interest levels, and at the end, the academic results. We will see each one of them one by one. Any activity done in class should be used to inform us of the learning happening in the class. We can go around observing, we can take notes, collect students' work, take pictures. Students need to know that what they are doing matters, and they will know if we tell them. If we tell them what is expected from them, and we tell them what they are being observed for. Here is a list of many ways to collect data. Many of those might look like activities. Exactly. Anything done in the class is a new source of information used by the students and the teachers to know about how well we are doing and what do we need to make it better. One of the key aspects of AFL is to share the learning goals with the students. If they know why they are doing something, they will be more likely to work in the direction we want. We, as adults, certainly won't do anything without knowing why. Children have the same need. Sharing goals shifts an important part of the responsibility towards the students. It also helps to guide the process, so we can always go back to the goals to remind students what we are doing today in class. Together with sharing goals, the students need to know what the standards are. What is the level expected in each activity in the class? If we create external criteria related to the activity that the students can refer to on their own, we will not be the only reference for quality in the class, giving students autonomy in their own assessment and making possible an effective peer assessment. Both sharing the goals and standards implies a difficult job for teachers, who have to make those decisions before teaching. But it's only fair that students know this before carrying out their tasks, otherwise they will be blind, and only some of them, intuitively, will guess what they are. Peer and self-assessment are also important parts of AFL. Peer and self-assessment are good because they help students to develop the skills to analyze a piece of work and compare it to the standards. This skill is essential in learning self-regulation. Here are some of the examples of peer and self-assessment. Don't be afraid if the results of your peer or self-assessment are not as great as you expect at the beginning. Like anything else, it needs time to be developed, but only if we provide students with the opportunities to do so. Here are more examples. It is important that students have a clear criteria to base their assessments. Otherwise, they will be given mere opinions that are not effective for either the student assessing or the student being assessed. In order to provide effective assessments, we need to help our students to recognize the next steps to take. We can do this by transforming the curriculum into a checklist. That way, we can tick when a student has proved they have reached a goal, so they will know what are the other areas that they need to work on. All these documents should be constantly shared with the students, putting emphasis in those areas that the students succeed and giving them the opportunity to choose those he or she wants to focus on in their work. We can use those documents when we mark our students' work. We will be able to point out the good aspects if we use the checklist created from the curriculum. We will explain the improvements done from previous work, and we will point out the areas that need to improve further, giving clear examples of how to do that or asking another student to show how it should be done. Recalling everything that was said before, it is essential that we share the learning goals with our students, that we help them to know and recognize the standards we aim for, that we provide feedback to help them improve, and that both teachers and pupil review the work to point out further challenges. It is important that students learn self-assessment techniques and peer assessment techniques in order to develop the skills of self-regulation. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and that you would like to try some of the things presented here in your classes. Don't forget, the great journeys always starts with a small step.